Yo, what's going on? It's your main man, Rick the Dawn. Hey, so I just wanted to have throw a little 2 cents on this crazy situation. This episode is brought to you by wordy.com. Go check it out. I just want to go ahead and preface everything I'm about to say by saying if you are someone who is easily offended, you might want to leave because I have made a decision for the whole year of 2023. I'm going to speak my mind, and that is regardless of down votes and all these little weird things that people use to try to, discredit you, but I'm going to speak my mind, and I ask that you respect that. Now, first off, I just want to just jump right in and say America needs to grow up. I did not expect this to be something that I would be talking about today. I actually had other things I wanted to do, but it turns out that America's underbelly has reared its ugly head. We are still not completely, or we have still not eradicated racism from our inner chambers. We still have that in the underbelly. And one thing I liked about Trump being president is a lot of it came up to the surface. And when he left, it kind of sunk back down into the earth, and it comes up every once in a while. But I'm going to address it as if it's out in the open because in my eyes, it still is an issue. Now, why does America need to grow up? It's really clear. First off, racism in of itself is kind of stupid. Okay, it's really, really stupid. And it takes a person with a small brain to, and I won't say racism as I'm talking about. I mean racism as it's usually looked at globally. Racism globally is typically a situation in which one group of people, make another group of people feel inferior. So I'm speaking about that racism. I'll talk about my version of racism at the end. So if you want to talk about that, go to the end of the video. But racism globally, as globally viewed, is pretty stupid, idiotic. To believe that one group of people is more superior than another group of people, it takes a really small brain to think that way. And here's why, because it's very simple. First off, if you believe in God, then you believe that every single person walking the earth was created by God. Okay. And I don't even understand how you can believe in God and still be a racist as globally constructed. I don't understand how those two things could exist, because if you believe in God and you believe that he's all knowing, he makes no mistakes, and he's wonderful and he's amazing, he's super intelligent, he's all knowing, he's done all these amazing things on earth, created all these amazing things. How can you have that mindset, believe in that, but at the same time believe that one of his creations is inferior? Because it doesn't align. Okay. So it's either you believe in God or you don't. Okay. Because whether you understand it or not, God created all people. Can we agree on that? Okay, good. It's not like God created this group of people and then this group of people created themselves. God created all people, and as such, it is really silly to look at any person as less than God's creation. And that's why it's idiotic. If you want to know my opinion on it, like I said, I'll go in depth at the end, but my opinion on racism as it's currently constructed is silly. And the bigger point is, it's not about race. It's never been about race. It's about content, the contents of a person's character. When I talk to somebody, black, white, Asian, I don't care what they are, I listen to them. I don't look at them. I listen to them first. Who is this person? If I were to close my eyes and just listen to this person, who are they? To me, I don't know if you agree, but in my opinion, what a person says and how a person thinks and how a person views the world is so much more important than what they look like. I'm not even talking about their skin color. I'm just talking about aesthetically speaking. What a person thinks, their brain, the makeup of their ideology is so much more important than what they look like. And if you don't know that, that is hilarious. That's actually hilarious. That's why I say it's kind of idiotic. All right. So no, that's ridiculous. And another place where America needs to grow up is in respect to women's sports. Listen, women can be competitive. Women can be strong. Women can be fierce. Women can be a lot of things. All right. And I'll even go as far as to say women can be anything that a man can be, because it's pretty much it's not much difference between the male and the female at all. All right. I mean, we both got eyes, we both got noses, we both got hair, we both got ears, we both got two hands, we both got two legs. There's not much difference there. So, when women show emotion in a competitive setting, America needs to grow up to the age where they understand it. Because the comments that were made were, in my opinion, made by someone who doesn't understand sports. And it's funny because the individual I'm talking about, he's the president of a sports show. So it's just hilarious that he doesn't understand the concept of women competitiveness. Hilarious. First off, or I should say next off, I want to say congrats to LSU. It's my understanding I don't follow LSU, but I will say this. I've heard that this is your first championship. So before I talk about any more drama, congrats to the LSU ladies. Y'all representing well. I don't even watch sports, and every time I've turned on my TV, I saw something really cool. I saw, ladies looking real fresh. They got their little leg pants sleeves on, looking like some play. I'm like, yo, that's what's up. They got their swag going. So if you don't understand anything I just said, swag, leg, sleep, then of course you're offended. Of course, when you're looking, you're like, this is not right. No, it's right. These ladies, the ones I saw, even Caitlyn Clark, she has a swag. All right. She's like, I don't know how tall she is, but she comes across as tiny on the screen. She has swag. I'm like, yo, this little white girl, like she can ball, you know what I'm saying? So I was just like, all right, I respect it both ways. I saw Caitlyn Clark was like, yo, that girl, like she can ball her behind off. And she got a little bit of, like she can get down with the best of them, for real. And when I look at Angel and her teammates, I'm like, oh, Angel got swag. I thought this was a great moment of swag versus swag. And I think it's not, I don't think it's ruined. I don't think it's been destroyed because of all the drama. I just think it's uplifted it. If not for the drama, let me tell you, it wouldn't have came down my interest pike. All right. The reason I'm even talking about it is because everybody else is. I'm like, oh, okay, let me see. Let me take a look, because I don't really care about stuff like this. But I look and I'm like, oh, snap. I could see, I'm from Detroit. See, in Detroit, it's not like all of America. Like in Detroit, white people and black people, they kind of like it's like we're the same almost. Like when you're from Detroit, everybody effed up. Ain't nobody rich. Like it's everybody messed up. Everybody trying to get it. Everybody trying to survive. So over my lifespan, when I saw white Americans, we kind of was like family. You know what I'm saying? That's where it is where I'm from. I'm not naive to the fact that America is different. But in Detroit, I went to school with white people, and I ain't talking about like preppy, proper. I'm talking about ghetto gangster white people. like for real. Like they'll slap you for calling them an N-word. Like I'm talking about bottom of the barrel, we all trying to survive kind of white people. And that's why, I couldn't be racist, because I grew up with like some good, like I know that racism is not a white thing. It's an evil thing. I know the difference because I've grown up with some amazing white Americans, and they had to struggle just like I had to. They had to eat sugar sandwiches like I had to. Southwest Detroit, they was trying to find bottles in the street like I was trying to find bottles in the street, so they can take it to Ike around the corner and get some freeze pops. They was right beside me. That's just the neighborhood that I grew up in. I can't speak for everybody. So I think that this was kind of, I'm fine with it happening in terms of the uproar. But no, this is women's sports, and we have to respect that. And anybody who doesn't understand that, please go back to watching history, or the History Channel, whatever you watch, because this is modern women's sports. And you either understand that or you don't. If you don't understand that there's a such thing as change and evolution, if you don't understand that, you can't conceive that, then go watch a black and white, go get a black and white TV, go get a VCR, pop in one of them old tapes from 1962, and just stay there in space and just live in the moment. Because as of right now, things are changing. Sorry. All right, first off, Angel Reese does clap back at a lot of the hate and all the stuff like that in her post game interview, and she talks about representation, and she talks about not being apologetic, and I concur 100%. Angel Reese, I don't know you, I will never know you, but let me tell you, you make me so happy, because I am the father of a beautiful Black American little girl, and let me tell you what I'm gonna tell her to do. Be unapologetic. Don't let no one marginalize you. Don't let nobody marginalize your talents. Don't let anybody make you feel bad because of their insecurities. Okay. And let me just put it out there. If I was a white American, I'd be telling my white American little girl the same thing. Don't let nobody marginalize you. Don't make nobody put you in a box. Don't let nobody control you with a like or a dislike. Don't let nobody control you with an opinion. Go out there and be fearless. I don't care what nobody says. I don't care what nobody thinks. Everybody has their own biases. Everybody has their own agendas. So a lot of times people will push things in order to help them feel better about themselves. And that is not a weight that you should wear on your shoulders. That's what I'm going to tell my daughter. Go out there and be bold. Change the world. and let them be mad, because that's what haters do. They hate and they angry. And that is not something that you should bear on your shoulders. So Angel Reese, congratulations, and keep being unapologetic. Keep representing. Okay? And do it how you're supposed to do it. I loved everything I saw from Angel Reese. All right, no profanity. All I saw was competitiveness. And anybody got a problem with that, then you're the problem. All right. Also, shout out to Caitlyn Clark. 41 points, 12 assists, and 10 rebounds. Triple-double. This girl is a baller. I don't even know who she is. Okay, but, when I look at a person's stats and I look at their stature and I look at their demeanor, I can see a baller from a mile away. I'm looking at Caitlyn Clark. I'm like, yo, this little girl is a baller, bro. Like, what are we arguing about? And she did a little gesture, and then it was done back. That's sports. Who doesn't understand that? Who doesn't understand that? What makes me confused is that the president of a sports podcast, sports show, whatever it's supposed to be, Barstool, whatever it is. Okay, a president of such or said company doesn't understand these basic constructs. Okay, but anyway, shout out to Caitlyn for a heck of a game. 41 points. Who putting up 40? I couldn't score 41 points in a girl's game. Okay, you can put me on a court in a high school girls game. I ain't putting up 41 points. Okay, 12 assists, 10 rebounds. Shout out to Caitlyn Clark. And, keep doing what you're doing as well. You represent as well, because from my perspective, what she showed in this series is that, white American girls can ball. They can ball. And it's not, they don't just post up from the three. They're not quiet. They're not timid. They're not just saying what needs to be said. They in your face. And that's cool. Because like I said, I grew up amongst that kind of white American. The white Americans I grew up with, they was fighting, boxing. They was doing all kind of stuff that don't really comply with white American constructs today. You see what I'm saying? So I can't be that. I'm congratulations, young lady. And Dave Portnoy. Okay, first off, this guy called Angel Reese a classless piece of S word. And what happens in that moment is, somebody like myself, I understand what took place. What Dave Portnoy was just doing in that instance, he was projecting. And this is why people shouldn't be that upset with his comments, because when you know better, you know. All right, what Dave Portnoy was actually doing in that moment is he was projecting. And what projecting means is, a lot of times what people say about other people is how they are or truly feel about themselves. The Bible says it best. To belittle somebody is to belittle yourself. When you're calling somebody a name, a lot of times that's how that person feels about themselves. And we can see that in wide display, because as Dave Portnoy calls Angel Reese a classless piece of S word, in that particular moment, what is he acting like? He's acting like a classless piece of S word. And that's what this is. It's just projecting. It's like having a mirror, finding a beam, and projecting it to somebody else because you don't want to take the beam yourself. Because to call anybody out of their name for showing competitive spirit and winning a classless piece of S is pretty classless, especially when you consider the fact that both players did the exact same gesture. Caitlyn Clark did the "you can't see me" John Cena gesture, and when she lost, Angel Reese did the "you can't see me" John Cena gesture. Now, to look at both of those incidences as different is what we call, i.e., a double standard. And there you have it, folks. There you have it. It's a double standard if I've ever seen one. And if, instead of Dave Portnoy saying, hey, you know what? I was a little riled up. I was in the moment. It happens sometimes. This is sports. It could happen to anyone. I was caught up. Instead of taking that route, what does he do? I'm pretty sure you can figure it out. He tries to defend his actions by saying, you cannot say that what Angel Reese and what Caitlyn Clark did are the same thing. They're completely different gestures. That's the route that he takes instead of just saying, hey, I was in the moment. And there lies more evidence of classlessness, because to have a reaction to something is not unheard of. It's okay, Dave. You can have an opinion about something. But instead of owning that opinion, he goes this route, which shows, in my opinion, classlessness. All right. And also, we might have to point out what this is. This is more than classlessness. This is implicit bias. This is someone having a bias. So we know his biases now. We understand where he's coming from. He clearly favors white players. I mean, it's pretty obvious, right? And Yeah, that's it. I mean, it's a bias. It's a bias towards white players. He rather see a white woman do that gesture than a black woman. That's all this is. It's his problem. He's the person that has some issues. He's the person that needs to dig deep and figure out, why am I this way? If all these people telling you you're doing something wrong doesn't start to maneuver some gears in your brain, then there's a bigger problem there than we probably realized. Okay, so that part is that part. My final point, just speaking on racism in general, in my opinion, we have to make sure we use that word the right way. I think racism is the act of doing and maneuvering and moving as such as to bring your race to prominence. Okay, if you're a white American, you're going to do things in life to try to help the white race succeed. That's what I deem to be racism. And so, as such, I think racism is merely just competition. I think that's what it is. It's a competition amongst races. That's how I see it. I know globally it's not seen that way. I think racism is a competitive spirit within a race to make their race dominant. That's what racism is to me. I think that unfortunately, racism has been slightly attached to evil. A lot of times when people talk about racism, they're talking about people from decades ago who held slaves and did heinous acts to them, and we talk about all types of disgusting things. They usually blend those two pools together. I don't. I separate racism as competition and evil as evil. To hurt somebody is evil. To kill someone is evil. To hurt babies is evil. I don't put them all in the same pool and say, hey, to hurt somebody of a different race is race. No, racism in of itself is just wanting your race to be superior. And I think that every race has that. Whether you admit it or not, you're probably a racist. You want your race to be dominant. I'm probably a racist. I want my race to be dominant. Is that wrong? I don't think so. I think that's competition. But I think where racism starts to turn into something wrong and negative is when people get hurt. When people start to be treated unfairly and nasty. Like, I want to be dominant without hurting you. Okay, like I want to be the best because I've trained, I've worked, I've rehearsed, and that is why I'll be better than you. I don't want to hurt you. I don't want to destroy you. I don't want to cut one of your legs off so you can't win the race. I think at that particular point, that racism that I see as competition becomes evil. It becomes something different. And I just wish that we can get to a space where we understand that being a racist, in essence, in principle, is okay as long as it doesn't cross the line and become something more. That's where I stand on racism, and I won't change that viewpoint until somebody tells me why I'm wrong, and it makes sense to me logically. The word has been ran through the muck. It's probably the wrong word to use with regards to my explanation and my points. I concur. I understand. I get what you're saying, but still, I would like to use the word racism because when I've been taught about racism over the years, and I've seen the acts that were connected to racism, I asked myself, why are these people behaving this way? And I always came to the same conclusion. It is these people want to remain on top. So then I said to myself, what is that type of behavior? That's just a competitive spirit, because if you're competing, you want your team to win. So that's what racism is. It's just a competition of races. And I thought to myself, well, that's not wrong in of itself. So where does it go wrong? It goes wrong when it becomes murder, when it becomes theft, when it becomes lynching, and when it becomes this, and that's where it goes wrong. So I've, over the years, have practiced the art of separating racism and evil. And that's why I have this perspective. Okay, so what Dave Portnoy says, I do believe has a hint of racism as you see it. But for me, it's not racism. It is implicit bias. It's bias. It's a mindset that says, I like this more than that. Therefore, I have to tear this down, or therefore I have to raise this up. That's what this is to me. Okay. Anyway, thank you for watching. I'll holler at you. Peace.